Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Judah Nick with Awaken Israel. Gonna continue the scripture reading today of chapters 13 to 15. And yeah, let's get into it. I hope this is gonna be edifying to any of those who've never heard or read the Bible. Thank you for praise to Yahweh Hashem Yashai. And yeah, continue. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and Aaron, saying, when a man shall have in their skin of his flesh a raisin or a scab or a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto his sons the priests. And the priest shall look upon the plague in the skin of the flesh, and when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in the sight be deepened in the skin of the flesh, it is a plague of leprosy, and the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in the sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair therefore be not white, turned white, then the priest shall shut him up, then the priest shall shut him that have the plague 7 days. And the priest shall look on him the 7th day, and behold, if the plague in his sight be at a stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days more. Speaking way low? Really? Okay. Really? I'm speaking low? Hold on. Let me know if it's any better. Let me know. I could put the game. Still like 1 second as well. Yo. There you go. Should be better now. Alright, let's continue. Verse 6. And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scab spread through abroad in the skin after he have been seen of the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen of the priest again. And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spreadeth in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is leprosy. Alright, I'm going to continue on verse 9. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall see him, and behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, it is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. Verse 12. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that have the plague, from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that have the plague. It is all white, he is clean. Cookie Wilkins, but when raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean. And the priest shall see the raw flesh, and pronounce him to be unclean, for the raw flesh is unclean, it is a leprosy. Or if the raw flesh turn again, and be changed unto white, he shall come unto the priest, and the priest shall see him, and behold, if the plague be turned into white, Then the priest shall pronounce him clean that have the plague, he is clean. The flesh also, in which even the skin therefore was a boil, and is clean, and is healed, Slakia. Verse 19, and in the place of the boil there be a white rising, or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, and it be shewed to the priest. And if when the priest see it, behold, it be in sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hairs therein, and if it be not lower than the skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And if it spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague. But if the bright spot stay in his place and spread not, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. Or if there be any flesh in the skin, wherefore there is a hot burning, and the quick flesh that burneth have a bright spot, somewhat reddish or white, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair in the bright spot be turned white, and it be in the sight deeper than the skin, it is a leprosy broken out of the burning, wherefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. So, by the looks of it, this is all symptoms of leprosy. So I don't know if anyone has this, but you know, if you know someone, or you know, friend of a friend, hey man, by all means. There are some forms of leprosy that I do know of, but I'm not gonna really go into it. But this is definitely insightful. Alright, verse 26. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hair in the bright spot, and it be no lower than the other skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And the priest shall look upon him the 7th day, and if it be spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. And if the bright spot stay in his place, and spread not in the skin, but it be somewhat dark, it is a rising of the burning, and the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is an inflammation of the burning. If a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in the sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scar, even a leprosy upon the head of the beard, head or the beard, Slakia. And if the priest look on the plague of the scar, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut him up, him that have the plague or the scout 7 days. The plague of the scout 7 days. This speaks. It's like this speaks directly to certain people. You'd have to. And in the 7th day, the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, and the skull be not in the sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven, but the skull shall he not shave, and the priest shall shut him that have the skull 7 days more. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the skull, and behold, if the skull be not spread in the skin, nor be in the sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the skull spread much in the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the skull be spread in the skin, the priest shall not seek for yellow hair, he is unclean. But if the skull be in his sight at a stay, and that there is black hair gone up therein, the skull is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. If a man also or a woman have in the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh be darkish white, it is a freckled spot that groweth in the skin, he is clean. And the man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, yet he is clean. And he that hath his hair fallen off from the part of his head towards his face, he is forehead bald, yet he is clean. And if there be bald head or bald forehead, a white reddish sore, it is a leprosy sprung in his bald head or his bald forehead. So guys, for context, the reason why it was saying if he was that bald but he was still clean is because it's a law that you can't be bald, so you can't willingly shave off all your hair. You're not meant to be bald, so you can shave your hair, you can cut it down, but the Lord does not want us to be bald. Same for the beards. Alright, should I get a precept real quick? Should I get a precept for y'all? Alright, so I believe it's in Leviticus 19 and 27. I'm just gonna grab it for y'all real quick. Leviticus 19 and 27. Alright, so wait. Am I got the right one? Yeah. You shall not round the corners of your head, neither shalt thou mere the corners of thy beard. So that's basically cutting off. So yeah. That's why in this one he was clean, because, you know, age and stuff. But you don't have to purposely shave your hair off. Alright, let's continue from 43. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the rising of the sore be white reddish in his bald head, or in his bald forehead, as the leprosy appeareth in the skin of the flesh, he is a leprous man, he is unclean, the priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean, his plague is in his head. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled, he is unclean, he shall dwell alone, without the camp shall his habitation be. The garment also that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it be a woolen garment or a linen garment, whether it be in the warp or woof or linen or of woolen, whether in a skin or in anything made of skin. And if the plague be greenish or reddish in the garment or in the skin, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of the skin, it is a plague of leprosy, and shall be showed unto the priest. And the priest shall look upon the plague and shut it up, that have the plague 7 days. Verse 51. And he shall look on the plague on the 7th day. If the plague be spread in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof, or in a skin, or in any work that is made of skin, the plague is a fettering leprosy, it is unclean. He shall therefore burn that garment, whether warp or woof, in woolen or in linen, or anything of skin, whether the plague is, for it is a threatening leprosy, it shall be burnt in the fire. And if the priest shall look, and behold, the plague be not spread in the garment, either in the warp, or in the woof, or in anything of skin, then the priest shall command that they wash the thing wherein the plague is, and he shall shut it up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on the plague after that it is washed, and behold, if the plague have not changed his colour, and the plague be not spread, it is unclean. Thou shalt burn it with fire, it is a threat inward, whether it be bare within or without. And if the priest look, and behold, the plague be somewhat dark after the washing of it, then he shall rend it out of the garment, or out of the skin, or out of the warp, or out of the woof. And if it appeareth still in the garment, either in the warp, or in the woof, or in anything of skin, it is a spreading plague. Thou shalt burn that wherein the plague is with fire. And the garment, either warp or woof, or whatsoever thing of skin it be, thou shalt wash. If slacker, which thou shalt wash, if the plague be departed from them, then it shall be washed the second time, and shall be clean. This is the law of the plague of leprosy in a garment, or of woolen or of linen, either in the warp or woof, or any things of skin, to pronounce it clean or to pronounce it unclean. That was a long chapter. Okay. Chapter 14, guys. Okay. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, This shall be the law of the leper. In the days of his cleansing he shall be brought unto the priest. And the priest shall go forth out of the camp, and the priest shall look, and behold, if the plague of leprosy be healed in the leper, then shall the priest command to take for him that is to be cleansed 2 birds alive and clean, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And the priest shall command that one of the birds be killed in an earthen vessel over running water. And as for the living bird, he shall take it, and the cedar wood, and the scarlet, and the hyssop, and shall dip them and the living bird in the blood of the bird that was killed over the running water. And he shall sprinkle upon him that is to be cleansed from the leprosy 7 times, and shall pronounce him clean, and shall let the living bird loose in the open field. And he that is to be cleansed shall wash his clothes, and shall shave off all his hair, and wash himself in water, that he may be clean. And after that he shall come into the camp, and shall tarry abroad about of his tent 7 days. But it shall be on the 7th day that he shall shave all his hair off his head, and his beard, and his eyebrows, even all his hair he shall shave off. And he shall wash his clothes, also he shall wash his flesh in the water, and he shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take 2 he lambs without blemish, and 1 ewe lamb of the first year without blemish, and 3 tenth deals of fine flour for a meat offering mingled with oil, and 1 log of oil. And the priest that maketh him clean shall present the man that is to be made clean, and those things before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall take 1 he lamb, and offer him for a trespass offering, and the log of oil, and wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. And he shall slay the lamb in the place where he shall kill the sin offering and the burnt offering in the holy place, for as the sin offering is the priest, so is the trespass offering, it is most holy. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering, and the priest shall put it upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take some of the log of the oil and pour it into the palm of his own left hand. And the priest shall dip his right finger in the oil that is in his left hand, and sprinkle of the oil with his finger 7 times before the Lord. And of the rest of the oil that is in his hand shall the priest put upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot, upon the blood of the trespass offering. And the remnant of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall pour upon the head of him that is to be cleansed, and the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord. And the priest shall offer the sin offering and make an atonement for him that is to be cleansed from his uncleanness, and afterward he shall kill the burnt offering. And the priest shall offer the burnt offering and the meat offering upon the altar. And the priest shall make an atonement for him, and he shall be clean. And if he be poor and cannot get so much, then he shall take 1 lamb for a trespass offering to be waved and to make an atonement for him, and 1/10 deal of fine flour mingled with oil for a meat offering, and a log of oil, and 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he is able to get, and the one shall be a sin offering, and the other a burnt offering. And he shall bring them on the 8th day for his cleansing unto the priest, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord. And if the priest shall take the lamb of the trespass offering and of the log of oil, and the priest shall wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. And he shall kill the lamb of the trespass offering, and the priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering, and put it upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And the priest shall pour of the oil into the palm of his own left hand. And the priest shall sprinkle with his right finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before the Lord. And the priest shall put of the oil that is in his hand upon the tip of the right ear of him that is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot, and upon the place of the blood of the trespass offering. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall put on the head of him that is to be cleansed, and make an atonement for him before the Lord. And he shall offer the one of the turtle doves, or of the young pigeons, such as he can get. Even as such he is able to get, the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering, with the meat offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him that is to be cleansed before the Lord. And this is the law of him in whom the plague of leprosy, whose hand is not able to get that which pertaineth to his cleansing. Verse 33. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and unto Aaron, when you be come into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for a possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession, and he that owneth the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, it seems to me there is as it were a plague in the house. Then the priest shall command that they empty the house before the priest go into it to see the plague, that all that is in the house be not made unclean, and afterward the priest shall go in to see the house. And he shall look on the plague, and behold, if the plague be in the walls of the house, with hollow streaks, greenish or reddish, which in the sight are lower than the wall, then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house, and shut up the house 7 days. And the priest shall come again the 7th day, and shall look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the walls of the house, then the priest shall command that they take away the stones in which the plague is, and they shall cast them into an unclean place without the city. And he shall cause the house to be scraped within round about, and they shall pour out of the dust that they scrape off without the city into an unclean place. And they shall take other stones and put them in the place of those stones, and he shall take other mortar and shall plaster the house. And if the plague come again and break out in the house, after that taketh away, it's like after that he have taken away the stones, and after he have scraped the house, and after it is plasterized, then the priest shall come and look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the house, it is a threatening leprosy in the house, it is unclean. And he shall break down the house, the stones of it, and the timber thereof, and all the mortar of the house, and he shall carry them forth out of the city into an unclean place. Moreover, he that goeth into the house all the while that it is shut up shall be unclean until the evening, so at the beginning of night. And he that lieth in the house shall wash his clothes, and he that eateth in the house shall wash his clothes. And if the priest shall come in and look upon it, and behold, the plague have not spread in the house, after the house was plasterized, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. And he shall take to cleanse the house 2 birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop, and he shall kill the one of the birds in an earthen vessel over running water. And he shall take the cedar wood, and the hyssop, and the scarlet, and the living bird, and dip them in the blood of the slain bird, and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 days. So, very continuous. So, key thing to note here, right? So, they did the same action for leprosy from the person to the house. The offering of the bird. So, there's a lot of continuing, how do I pronounce that word? Continuing it. There's a lot of continuation in the Bible, should I say. Everything's very repetitive. As the Lord says, he doesn't change. But, you know, there's many meanings to that. But, yeah, just a little note for y'all. Alright. Verse 52. And he shall cleanse the house with the blood of the bird, and with the running water, and with the living bird, and with the cedar wood, and with the hyssop, and with the scarlet. But he shall let go the living bird out of the city into the open fields, and make an atonement for the house, and it shall be clean. This is the law for all manner of plague of leprosy and scale, and for the leprosy of a garment, and of a house, and for a rising, and for a scab, and for a bright spot, to teach when it is unclean, and when it is clean. This is the law of leprosy. Okay. Last chapter, guys, for today. Last chapter. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When any man have a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue he is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue, whether his flesh run with his issue, or his flesh be stopped from his issue, it is his uncleanness. Every bed whereon he lieth that he have the issue is unclean, and everything wherein he sitteth shall be unclean. And whoever so toucheth his bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And he that sitteth on anything whereon he sat, that have the issue shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And he that toucheth the flesh of him that have the issue shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And if he that have the issue spit upon him that is clean, then he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And what saddle soever he rideth upon that have the issue shall be unclean. And whosoever toucheth anything that was under him shall be unclean until the evening. And he that beareth any of those things shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And whomsoever he toucheth that have the issue and have not rinsed his hands in water, he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And the vessels of earth that he toucheth with, which have the issue, shall be broken, and every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water. And when he that have the issue is cleansed of his issue, then he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleansing, and wash his clothes, and bath his flesh in running water, and shall be clean. On the 8th day he shall take to him 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and come before the Lord unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and give them unto the priest. And the priest shall offer them, the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord for his issue. And if any man's seed of occupation go out of him, so seed of occupation is talking about sperm, for anyone who does not know. So if any man's seed of occupation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water, and be unclean until the evening. And every garment and every skin whereon his seed of copulation, like I've been saying that wrong, copulation shall be washed with water, and be unclean until the evening. So for the men out there, if your seed of copulation, aka sperm, goes out of you, this would be the law to you. Alright, so verse 18. The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both wash themselves in water, and be unclean until the evening. So you can kind of guess this would come after intercourse, just for those who don't know. And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in the flesh be blood, then shall she be put apart 7 days, and whosoever touched her shall be unclean until the evening. But this is talking about woman's menstrual cycle. So when you're on your period, as it is most known common today, she shall be unclean 7 days. And whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until evening, which is night time. So as soon as night breaks, until then, you're unclean. Alright, verse 20. And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean, and everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean. And whosoever toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And whosoever touches anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And if it be on her bed, or on anything whereof she sitteth, when he toucheth it, he shall be unclean until the evening. And if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and all the bed wherein he lieth shall be unclean. And her flowers be upon her. Hold on. Let me see this translation real quick. Let's try NLT real quick. That was verse 24, I believe. If a man have sexual intercourse with her, and her blood touches him, okay, I thought so. Her menstrual impurity will be transmitted to him, and he will remain unclean for 7 days, and any bed on which he lies shall be unclean. So yeah, same thing, guys. If that woman's, menstrual cycle blood touches you, you're unclean until the evening. But this one is, he shall be unclean 7 days. So the same as the woman's, period time. If he touches it, he shall be unclean. So if on the 7th day, let's say on the 7th day, somehow he accidentally touched her blood, her menstrual cycle, her monthly menstrual cycle blood, then he would be, from that day onwards, 7 days unclean. Okay, let's go back to the KJV. Continue at verse 25. Alright, and if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation, she shall be unclean. So if you have a prolongated period so any women that are listening, you got prolonged menstrual cycle, then you're unclean for the duration of that. Alright, verse 26. Every bed whereon she lieth all the days of her issue shall be unto her as the bed of her separation, and whatsoever she sitteth upon shall be unclean as the uncleanness of her separation. And whosoever toucheth those things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. But if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her 2 toes, or 2 young pigeons, and bring them unto the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for her before the Lord for the issue of her uncleanness. And thus shall you separate the children of Israel from the uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness, when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of him that have an issue, and of him whose seed goeth from him. So once again, the seed of copulation, which is earlier I was talking about sperm. So I'm going to read this again. This is the law of him that have an issue, and of him whose seed goeth from him, and is defiled therewith, and of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that have an issue, of the man and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her, that is unclean. So after intercourse, once again, guys. So I hope this was edifying. Hope this was helpful to those who seeking Lord, want to keep his commandments, learn more of the commandments and stuff like that. Study to show themselves approved. Yeah, man, I hope this was good. So if anyone's having intercourse, this would be a good chapter to read on. So I'm going to close out, give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Yahweh being the Father, Yahushai being the Son. And I hope this was edifying. And yeah, Shalom, Shalom.